Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's February 22nd, 2019. I'm in the lowermost northern shop, and today's episode follows the most recent episode where I was installing these vertical studs behind me. And today, one of the things I want to talk to you about is a screw up that I made. I screwed up when putting these horizontal support studs up against the inner layer of insulation. And there's videos on those. If you go back a couple of videos, you'll see those things. My goal yesterday when I came out here was to go ahead, start installing the plywood and getting these sub panels mounted. Now I've mounted this sub panel here in the lower northern shop, and I mounted the one on the south shop where the heavy equipment is. And one of the things I've talked about when I've designed this system was, one, to keep this building super insulated, two, to have as few barrier penetrations, whether it's a rain barrier, vapor barrier, air barrier, or thermal barrier. I didn't want to violate any of the barriers, or I wanted to violate them as minimally as possible. And therefore, I decided to go on this pattern of using the 2x3s so I could easily run the wires in the walls around as necessary. And that's for all the different wires, whether it's security, surveillance, networking, monitoring, and certainly the power supplies. So in the south shop, for example, I've got my 50 amp and 30 amp circuits for welding and plasma cutter right at the most south side of the building, so I don't have to just do my welding inside of the building. I can actually pull a piece of equipment up close to the outside, and I can do some work out there as well. Well, I may want to, in the future, right on the opposite side of this wall, put another 50 amp circuit in for welding, so I could move the welding table up in this location. And therefore, that's the reason that I designed these 1 foot, and it's not right here, but over here, there's 1 foot tall. So down below, there's a 4 foot tall sheet of plywood. And then there's another 4 foot sheet above it that has 3 foot above it that's intact, and 1 foot that I cut off down below. And that's where all the wiring, so that 1 foot panel is really easy to just pop off and run another wire around, whatever it may be. On the other side of the building, behind me here, on the other side of this wall rather, I've got, since it's a couple of stories tall, I'm also making vertical removable panels. So it's much easier for me as ideas come about, and I think, geez, I'd rather have this over here. And in this workshop, this isn't just going to be a woodworking workshop. It's certainly going to meet that function, but every element serves multiple functions. So this workshop will be a place where we can have educational opportunities, where we can have workshops with groups of people coming in to go over some of the various things that we've designed over time and how systems work. So it'll be an educational meeting room as well. It'll also be a place where we do some of the processing of food that can be done inside as well. So this structure needs to meet multiple functions, and who knows what other functions. There'll be a small studio in here, so I can do my YouTube videos in here as well. So those are all possibilities of things that I want this structure to do. And as time goes on, I learn new things. I may want to modify, let's say, instead of using a 110 powered table saw, I may want to go to a 220 powered table saw, or whatever it may be. It'd be relatively easy with having the sub panel here and having an easy way to run the wiring without tearing walls down and that sort of thing, or creating more penetrations through the walls. But I wanted to share a mistake I did yesterday. And that's one of the things. So two things that'll happen. At the end of this video, there'll be some GoPro footage of me installing this plywood, which was a challenge because it was really bowed plywood. The sheets, I don't know if they had been laying around, some of them. I'm hoping that once we get further down in the pile, it's a new stack that isn't all bowed. But these is a 4-ply 5/8 inch plywood. So it isn't like having a really nice multi-layer piece of plywood that we're going to be making cabinets out of in the future. So these are my receptacle or outlet boxes. These are a plastic box, Carlon, and one of the things that I've done on the other side of this wall is when I placed this horizontal support stud here, I placed it purposely just 1.5 inches below the top of this 4 by 4 foot tall sheet of plywood. And that made it real easy for me to go ahead and mount these receptacle boxes right here and be able to remove that 1 foot tall piece of plywood, which is just a panel cover. And what I realized afterwards, well, I can't get my receptacle boxes mounted as I would like to. And that frustrated the heck out of me because after getting the sheets of plywood up here, gotten tons of screws holding everything in, you know, another full day of work, it'd take me a day and a half to take all this down, maybe 2 days to take it down and move this horizontal support 2x3 down lower the way I did on the other side. So I really messed up as far as really planning this out or following the plan that I had originally planned on. So what I decided to do, what I've learned to do over the years, when I was younger, what I would do is just start pulling off the sheets of plywood, and I'd probably be here to midnight, and I'd probably pull off the vertical studs that are here as well. Then I'd come out here today, tired, miserable, and I'd move this horizontal down and then start reinstalling all of the 2x3, the verticals, and so on and so forth, and be 3-4 days behind. And I've done that sort of thing multiple times when I was younger. But what I decided to do, what I've been doing over the last several years, is I just stop and I walk away from the job when I run into this situation. Because I'm not completely resourceful when I'm stressed. My cortisol levels are high. My adrenaline's up a little bit. I'm just worked up and really disappointed in myself that I didn't do what I've obviously knew I needed to do. I'd done it on the other side correctly. And so what I decided to do was walk away. I looked up so this morning I came out here and decided, well, what are the options? Well, one, I could mount these higher, and it'd be in the middle of that panel. It'd be a little bit more challenging doing the cutouts, and I really want them to look neat. Ultimately, it's a workshop area. It doesn't have to look pretty, but for me, I'd really like it to look nice. I could do all the tearing apart like I would have done when I was younger. I could purchase low profile ones, some that aren't as deep as this, so that they would fit right up against that horizontal stud. Or I could put them lower, put it right down here on the lower sheet of plywood down here. And that's probably what I will do, because I really don't want to have these too high where as I build my upper cabinets, I want to have as much space as possible. And when I'm putting my French cleats up to do all the mounting of the tools and equipment that I have, I really space is such a very valuable resource, and so I really want to make sure that I think about this fully, and I haven't decided yet. You'll ultimately see. I'll go ahead and make a video about that. But in today's video, I just wanted to share with you, I screwed up, I failed. And instead of getting, well, I did get upset, but instead of letting it really fester and start attacking the situation without being completely resourceful, nowadays what I do is stop. If it isn't an emergency, if it isn't urgent, I mean, it felt like it was urgent, but it wasn't something that needed to be done at that time. So I decided to walk away, think about it, come back to the situation, being more resourceful, and taking some time, you know, looking up possibilities. And that's the time, if you don't have that experience at all, is to phone a friend, potentially. Find out how they would handle the situation. And failure is okay. We learn from these mistakes. I'm going to make a lot more mistakes as I'm going through this building project here, and I'll share those with you as well. So what's going to follow in this video is just some GoPro footage. I think that I've got some footage of mounting the sub panels. Again, I did have troubles with one of my GoPros. And I think I'll make a GoPro review video about my experiences, because it's actually some pretty good experiences. But I got the paneling up, the plywood up, and that's what's going to show what I've done so far. So there's some work done over there as well. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up. I hope you're okay with me sharing some of these screw-ups that I've done and how I go about telling you how I'm going to deal with it. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if you so wish to. And hit that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we post more videos. And by all means, folks, have a super fantastic day. Take care now. Bye-bye.